Teacher, teacher, ring your bell. My lessons all to you I'll tell. And when my learning day is through, I'll know more than I ought knew. I'm sure I got that wrong, but it's something that's always stayed with me. I'm one of those kids who liked school. I liked it. I liked learning. I liked being the first to know the answer and raise my hand, which kind of got me bullied, but I didn't care, because the way you deal with a bully is to fight them back. And so it wasn't too bad, because my father had told us, he raised us, you fight back. So where am I going with this, and why am I talking about this? Because, as I've told you before, I dream a lot. And last night, I dreamt I was in school again. And it was a weird, twisted dream. I was in school, but I was in school with my brother and my sisters and several of my childhood friends. And we were rearranging the classrooms and arguing about how to rearrange them. And once again, that dream awakened me at stupid o'clock. But it's been, it's kind of lingered, Sometimes you'll have a dream or something will happen that will stay with you all day. So this dream has lingered, and it got me to thinking about all the fabulous teachers I've had. Let me say that for the past 10, 15 years, IMHO teachers have gotten a very bad rap. They don't get paid enough, they get blamed for everything, and they get no freaking respect. Which is just really shocking to me, because I grew up in the era where if you messed with your teacher, if you was bad in school, there were severe repercussions at home. So, as I was chilling today on the sofa, reading a book with nice relaxing music in the background, I still thought about my teachers. I thought about my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Warren. And the very first story that I remember her reading to us, I was 5, and I attended Moses Cleveland Elementary School, which has since been rebuilt. It's still in the same spot, but it's since been rebuilt. But at the time I attended, it was an imposing brick building, and where very few things worked, and the playground was all messed up, but I loved it. So Mrs. Warren read us this story, which has since been banned, called Little Black Sambo. Need I say more? If you're my age, maybe you heard it or you're familiar with it. But what I remember is not the story, but the way she read it to us, with love and acting out all the parts. She acted out the part of Little Black Sambo, who was lost in the forest, and Chief Katambo, who was Little Black Sambo's father. And I just thought it was wonderful. I remember my 2nd and 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Irwin. When Mrs. Irwin died, I'm not sure how old I was, maybe 26, 27, but everybody in her class showed up to her funeral. I remember really fondly my 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Pontiac. Mrs. Pontiac, when I went to school, there was something called enrichment. I don't know what it's called now, maybe honors classes, but I was in enrichment, and Mrs. Pontiac taught enrichment. And she just literally gave me a key to the entire world of books. I was allowed to order books that were well above my age level because she knew I could comprehend them. And my parents, too, I give all props to my parents. They never, ever censored anything I read. So, if you went to Moses Cleveland, or even if you didn't, maybe you remember this book club called the Scholastic Book Club, where your teacher would pass out an order form for books and you would order them at really reasonable prices, and your parents would send a little check in, and then your books would come. And I discovered so many books that way. And this was back in the age, too, of corporal punishment, which I'm waving at my friend Cam. He just passed my window. Which, if you were my age, we got swatted. I took my share of swats from the principal at Moses Cleveland, Mr. Grossel. His secretary was on the PTA with my mom, and they were friends. Anyway, when I left Moses, I went to Charles W. Eliot, which is no longer where it was. It's been merged, actually, with JFK, my high school, which is no longer where it was either. But when I got to Eliot, I was a real, I maintained my grades my entire life. I've always been an A student. The only year I did not make Dean's List was the year my dad died. But when I got to Eliot, I was just, wild. I did all kinds of stuff, so the vice principal there were two. There was Miss Albritton, a very stern but also very loving black woman. And she ain't take no shit. I took my share of swats from Miss Albritton. And then there was this gorgeous, the other vice principal. His first name was Anthony, and I can't remember his last name. He was an Italian guy that everybody, all the girls in the school loved him because dude was just, whoa, major eye candy. I had good teachers at Eliot. Mrs. Wilson, my English teacher. Mr. McDowell, my music teacher. It's so long ago, but I remember, even though I hated his class, there were two more teachers. Mademoiselle Grossel, who was the daughter of my principal at my elementary school. She taught me French. And Mr. Asad, who tried in vain to teach me geometry, which I never got higher than a D in. But they were good teachers, and they really cared about us kids, If we screwed up, they punished us, but they genuinely cared. I grew up in the era where it was truly a case of it takes a village to raise a child. And that, was paramount in the neighborhood that I grew up in, because everybody I grew up with, we are all still friends now. And that's no mean feat. If you do the math, all of my friends, the majority, I've been friends with for 60 plus years. And we grew up together. We went through kindergarten, graduated from junior high and senior high together. And we went to each other's birthday parties and stuff. And some of us, I went to vacation Bible school with my friend Ellie and stuff, because her dad was a minister. And it was a good time. Despite, we all did our dirt. We weren't perfect kids. if Miss Hawkins, Denise's mom, happened to catch me behind the garage with one of her sons, doing, she would beat her son all upside the head, and then she would pull a switch off the shrub right next to the garage, give me a whip, and then grab my arm and take me home and knock on the back door. My mom was like, "Hi, Jean," and Miss Hawkins would be like, "I just caught Kathy behind the garage, smoking, weed with so-and-so." And my mom was like, "Thank you, Jean. I'll take care of it." We got double whippings, And I didn't grow up, and none of my friends who grew up under the corporal punishment era grew up to be psychos or murderers or, scarred or anything. We had clear boundaries and we knew what they were. When I moved here and got into education, the first thing I noticed was, actually, let me back up. Before I graduated from high school, that was when they decided that they would remove corporal punishment in my senior year from the schools. At Kennedy, I was really wild. But I loved high school. I have to say, I did not like most of the people I attended school with, but the ones that I did like, I still talk to online and stuff and via video call, and I had a good time. Do you know who I remember the most is, again, he was the vice principal, Mr. Salters. Mr. Salters was always yelling at me because I was always doing some shit. I would climb out the window in Mr. Kimball's art class because it was on the second floor, and beneath the window there was a ledge. So you could hang drop from the window onto the ledge, and then you could jump from that ledge onto the pavement and be off. And the minute Mr. Kimball turned his back, I was gone. Mr. Salters somehow always caught me. And I'd end up in his office, and he'd bend me over the desk and paddle that ass. But what I also remember, for some strange reason in high school, I used to, only in the summer, we didn't have air conditioning in Kennedy at that time, and Cleveland had really, really hot summers. So if you were late to class, they had this thing called lockout. If the security guards caught you, you were late to class, then you had to go in lockout. And that was this room on the first floor next to the principal's office. And it would be hot in there. They'd open the windows, but it would be hot in there. And I would faint. I'd fall all out on the floor, and somebody would go get Mr. Salters. And they'd be like, "There go Patton again." What I remember is the number of times he came to get me, and he literally lifted me up in his arms, and he's carrying me in his arms, and I'm all, and he's walking down the hallway with me to the nurse's office. He was like, "If you would just take your ass to class, we wouldn't have this problem." I loved school. I had some really good teachers. My drama teacher at Kennedy, Mr. Fisher. My art teacher, who I tormented, Mr. Kimball. All my English teachers, all of them at Kennedy were fabulous. And my journalism teacher. You got to put it in context. This was back in the day. Smitty would sit on her desk, cross-legged, and smoke while she was teaching us. I think teachers get a bad rep. And the only reason why I'm doing this recording today is, like I said, the dream I had last night of being in school. My teachers remained good when I went to college. I attended Ursuline College. And the teachers I had there have remained with me. 4 of them are my Facebook friends, and I still talk to them. And I'm just grateful, you know. I realize not everybody had good teachers, but I did. And I like to think that they helped shape me into the woman I am today, and they pushed me on a path that I was able, you know, to take care of literally hundreds of other kids on both sides of the pond. So that's it for my love song to teachers. I'm sitting here looking out the window. It's nice and sunny, but again, it's chilly for me. It's not gotten above 51 degrees Fahrenheit today, but it's all good because inside I'm warm. And that's it. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to listen to me ramble on, like the Led Zeppelin song goes, I ramble on. Maybe next time I'll sing that to you and dance. Anyway, thanks for continuing to tune in, and pass the link on to your friends. And have a good day. And please be safe, because the world is chaos right now. So I just need all y'all to be safe. Okay, bye.